So as many of you probably know, in the latest information about Pokemon Sword and Shield at the latest E3 last week, some controversial things were announced. It was controversial because a lot of people were upset, a lot of people were not satisfied about what was revealed. So I let it die down a bit after all the the wars on the internet, because I don't like to get involved in those kind of things. And after it died down a bit, even though I guess it's still going on in some places, but mostly it died down after a few days, I gave myself a few days to think about it, because my opinion is kind of neutral at the moment, or at least it was at first. So yeah, here's my opinion about the whole controversial Galar Pokedex filter. The great Masuda-san, he announced that the Galar Pokedex will be unique because now that there's been so many Pokemon created, 7 generations plus the Galar Pokemon that are brand new, the number is so great that it seemed unfeasible and unnecessary to code all of them into the game. Now, with some background information for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, ever since they made new games, starting in Generation 2, there was always possible, in some form or another, to catch Pokemon that weren't native to that region. So, in the Gen 2 games, you could transfer from Gen 1 using a time machine. In Gen 3, you couldn't transfer because it was on a different device, but starting from Gen 4, you could transfer from Gen 3, and so on and so forth. In fact, at this point in time, using various different connections, you could technically transfer an individual Pokemon from as far back as Ruby and Sapphire, which is Gen 3, all the way to Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which is Gen 7. And with the newly announced Pokemon Home, which is the new generation of Pokemon Bank, using a mobile device and the Switch, you could technically transfer from 7 to 8 as well. So you could still transfer a Pokemon, an individual Pokemon, from as far back as Ruby and Sapphire all the way to Sword and Shield on the Nintendo Switch. Now, all these connections and all this transferring is good. When the Pokemon Home was first announced, I was happy because it seemed like, a necessary thing to transfer my old Pokemon if I wanted to, although I'm not really one to need to do that, as I'll go over soon, to transfer my old Pokemon from Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and even older games if need be, because sometimes older games are the only ways to get certain sets, certain abilities, certain moves, even certain species, in order to get them to Sword and Shield. But here's the thing. Unlike Sun, Moon, Ultra Moon, and Gen 7 in the Alola games, where while there was no national Pokedex officially, you could still transfer literally any Pokemon into Sun, Moon, Ultra Moon, because all Pokemon species were coded into the game. In Gen 7, I repeat, all species were coded into the game. But Sword and Shield, at the moment, it seems to be announced that not all species are coded into the game. So, what does this mean for Sword and Shield? Well, it means that the only Pokemon that you can transfer through Home, from Pokemon Go, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, Pokemon Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and further games, Pokemon Bank, the only ones that will leave Pokemon Home are those native to the Galar Pokedex, the ones that actually are coded into Sword and Shield. So, for example, let's say Deoxys, just to take a guess, if Deoxys is not in the Galar Pokedex, then if you ever transfer it from older games into Pokemon Home, it's stuck there until further notice, because Home won't let you transfer it to Sword and Shield. So I hope this is a good explanation for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, but most of you probably already know. So, my opinions on the matter is a little underwhelming, because I'm upset with most people in the Pokemon community who are against this. I don't think it's mature for them to get upset about this. And not just because it's a children's game. That's not the problem. The problem is that they think that the games are ruined, or at least they said it. I don't know what they actually think. I don't like that some people said that the games are ruined just because it won't have a national dex in the post-game. You can only transfer certain Pokemon, therefore it's an incomplete game, and some even called it BS, some called it trash, and some called it really, really screwing the game. They said it was a complete mistake. And while I can sympathize with these people, that that certain Pokemon won't be in the game, like, because they've always done it that way. You have to think of it from the creator's perspective. Obviously, at some point, there's going to be too many to fit. At the moment, maybe they all fit, and maybe that's why you're upset. You're saying that, oh, they could totally do it if they wanted to. Well, that's the thing. It's not that easy. People keep saying that it is easy, it is possible, and I'm not naive enough to claim that it's impossible. I know it's possible. It may even be easy, but that doesn't mean they have to do it. I agree with the people who think that those people are entitled to say that, oh, it's easy, therefore you should do it, or it's possible, therefore you should do it. I don't see what the big deal is. So just because you're gonna get a portion, I mean, okay, so back to Zero. I know that them not being coded into the game severely hurts people who want to transfer as many Pokemon as possible, who want to have their favorites, who may not get through the filter. I feel bad for those people, I do, because, you know, let's say your favorite is, I don't know, Dunsparce, and maybe I'm wrong, but maybe Dunsparce isn't gonna make the cut. Well, I don't see why that makes Sword and Shield a bad game just because Dunsparce doesn't get in. And I'm not saying you shouldn't love Dunsparce. You can have whatever favorites you want, but that doesn't mean Sword and Shield is bad. Now, I'm not telling you you have to play it. I'm not telling you have to love the game. You don't have to. Do what you want. But I don't think it's fair to hate the whole game when it's the only thing it's lacking is certain Pokemon. There's still hundreds in there, trust me. There's still hundreds of old and new, don't forget the new ones. There's still hundreds of old and new ones combined that are gonna make the cut. And I don't see why you should get upset over the ones that didn't when you can be glad for the ones that did make the cut. And we still don't even know all of them that made the cut. We only know the ones that you see here on screen. And the reason that I'm not upset about this is because the game isn't just about having every species. They don't say gotta catch them all anymore. You know, that's not a thing anymore. You don't have to say that. You don't have to do it. You don't have to try it. You can, in fact, you used to be able to try it, and you know, but I never did. It's not really feasible anymore. There's too many now. The point is, the graphics are great. The graphics are beautiful. The gameplay is interesting. The story might be interesting when we find out about it. Dynamax is brand new. There's so many things that is more important than just having every single species. You know, I want to see great graphics. I want to control the camera in the wild areas. I want to use the Dynamax feature. I want to collect the ones that I like out of the Pokemon. I don't really need to catch them all. Like, for example, out of this Galar Pokedex here I see, sure, there's a lot of Pokemon that don't really interest me, but there's plenty that I actually love. While I sympathize with people being upset that not every Pokemon is going to even be coded into the game, I have to admit that that's not important. I sympathize with the creators even more, because if they say that they had staff constraints or time constraints, and like, obviously they're not going to extend the game, like, or postpone it, because that's just not feasible. You have to think about the TCG and the anime and all the other marketing things, you know? They can't just postpone the game just to code in all the Pokemon, because it doesn't make sense. The National Pokedex doesn't have to be a thing anymore. It was fun back when there was, you know, only a few hundred species, but now that there's, I don't know, past 1,000 at this point, including alternate forms and even all those other things, it just doesn't make sense to worry about it, because you're gonna have to love the other things too. Because playing the game with the Pokemon that you do have is more important than being able to transfer all those Pokemon that didn't make the cut. You have to sympathize with the creators, because if they say that they're not going to be able to do it in time because of time problems and staff problems, because obviously, you need time and money to do this kind of thing. You know, people don't work for free. People get tired. People get hungry, you know? I'm not saying that it's easy or that it's impossible. All I know is that based on what they tell me, I'm not complaining. There's plenty of Pokemon that I do want to use. And like, we don't even know all the new Pokemon. We only knew a few. If you want to be upset that your favorite Pokemon might not make the cut, that's fine. You can get upset. If you want to not play the game, ever, because your favorite Pokemon didn't make the cut, that's fine too. But if you want to insult the creators of Pokemon because of this decision, well then, you're wasting time. You're not going to get anything by complaining. You're not going to get anything by petitioning. You're not going to get anything by acting entitled. You know, I don't mean to sound offensive. I'm not even that upset about this. I was neutral about this from the beginning. When I first found out that you're not going to have any national Pokedex, and that the only Pokemon that are going to be in the game are those that are in the original Galar Pokedex, and people are calling this the Great Galar Filter, the Great Galar Pokedex Filter, and stuff like that. You know, it's like they're making Thanos memes about it. They're making, you know, they're portraying Junichi Masuda-san as Thanos, and it's hilarious. But you know, it's like, this is all fun and stuff, but I don't see what the big deal is. Even if they can do it, that doesn't mean they have to. Because even if they do it, eventually it's not going to be possible. Remember, every generation, if it introduces new Pokemon, will make the Pokedex bigger. Therefore, eventually we'll get to a generation when there are so many Pokemon that there won't be enough space unless even the technology has to like increase. So even if at the moment it isn't impossible to have all of the Pokemon, including all of their forms, you know, plus you have to take into account animations. They concentrated so much on graphics, to my knowledge, in this generation, and each Pokemon has its own special animations, which is something I want more than anything. I want each Pokemon to have specific, specialized, individual graphic animations in their new graphic switch 3D. Like, if each Pokemon had more unique and more exciting animations, more so than Gen 7, more so than any game before, it'll make the game look so alive. I won't care that it's not for every species. They can do the best they can, and I won't complain. This is the best they can do, and even if it isn't, I'm not complaining, because really, do you really need every species at the moment when you know you're going to get them in future games anyway? It's not like you have to wait 10 years for the next game, you know? I like it how at least some people have kept their minds, like, you know, clear and their heads on straight when it came to this, because not everyone was, you know, against this. Some people didn't complain. Some people realized that, you know, just some things aren't feasible. Some people realize that some things are more important, you know? Why have a national Pokedex with every single Pokemon coded into the game when it would be easier and more efficient to specialize specific, exciting, new Switch animations for the Pokemon that you do keep, which won't be a small number, mind you. It'll be a big number. So yeah, that's what I have to say. I'm not really upset about the Galar filter. We still need to find out the entire number of Pokemon that will make the cut, but besides that, I'm not really upset at all, because, you know, I'm more excited about the graphics. I'm excited about the story itself. I'm excited about the gameplay and the backgrounds and the artwork and the animations, and it's on the Switch, and I want it to look beautiful, and I don't care if that doesn't include every single Pokemon that has ever existed, because that is not the priority here. And I stand by their decision. I'd like to say that I'm proud of the members of the community who are, you know, clear-minded about this, because they know what should be prioritized. And I'm upset about the toxic part of the community who have insulted the game and insulted its creators just because of this decision, which, again, I sympathize with those people, because, like, I can see their argument. You know, their argument, it exists, and they have points. They made a good point, but I unfortunately cannot agree with them, because, you know, there's some things more important, like the graphics and the animations of the one that will make the cut. So yeah, I think I've gone enough about over this. I'm sorry for going so long about it, and I wonder what you guys think about it as well. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to check out my channel for more videos, probably not like this, but this had to be said. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share with a friend, and I'll see you guys next time.